Let's continue with Pirkei Avot. We're in Perek Shlishi here. So it says, Rabbi Chanina ben Chachinai Omer, Haneor balayla, והמהלך בדרך יחידי, והמפנה ליבו לבטלה, הרי זה מתחייב בנפשו. Interesting Mishnah we have here. And so what is it saying over here? There are certain things that a person can do which puts him into danger, מתחייב בנפשו. That means could die from these kinds of things, It's not a good situation. So what is he talking about? Three things that he brings over here. One is that haneor balayla, a person who stays up at night, doesn't sleep, just stays up and hangs around. Not good, this kind of thing. Why is that? What's wrong with it? The problem is like this, that they say the Chazal in the Sefer Zohar Kadosh that the Laila is a time of mazikin, a time of tumah, a time of dinim. So there's a lot of bad angels going around, a lot of bad influences going around at night. So the problem is, at night, what is a person supposed to be doing? He's supposed to be sleeping at night, That's a normal thing, right? The night was made to sleep. In the day, you're supposed to get up and active, right? So because of that, a person who just stays up at night and doesn't want to sleep, just stays up. So this is no good, because he's not really doing the job of sleeping to get, because that's the time, since the kohot of tumah, the powers of tumah are strong at that time, sleeping is a good thing. Why? Because he's not fighting with them, he's not involved with them, he's not engaged with them in any way by sleeping like that. It's a good thing. The problem is when he's awake, he's confronting, these forces, the kohot of evil, tumah, he's confronting them and they're going to harm him. And this is the problem, So what is he going to do at night? He's going to do all kinds of things which are not good, bad activities. He's going to turn on his TV, right, and start watching some crazy movies, some crazy things going on there, right, some bad stuff, because it's a time of tumah. So he's going to get tameh from being up at night. Not good, not a good thing. So the proper thing to do at night is to sleep and not just to be up, and hanging around doing nothing. It's not a good thing. He's going to get harmed by that. But the thing is, the Chazal said also another thing about that. Halayla gelegirsa nivra, right? It says, right? The night was made for divrei Torah. So what does that mean? If a person gets up at night to learn Torah, this is the best thing he can do. No, nothing better than that, right? Because at that time, since the powers of evil are very strong, so he combats them by learning Torah. But also, what it is that when he's learning Torah at night, since people are quiet and nobody's working and nobody's up, everybody's sleeping, so he can accomplish more things in Torah because of the quiet that's around him, It's very quiet and peaceful. He can do Torah. So Torah is the proper thing to do at night. Right? That's the thing. But just to be up, and hanging around and doing nothing, this is not very healthy, right? It's going to harm you at night to do something like that. And this is exactly where now we're coming up, right? B'ezras Hashem, in 10 days, we're coming up to Chag Shavuot. It's coming up already. Right? We're almost there. So why do I tell you this? Because Chag Shavuot, right? You know what the custom is. The minhag is, we stay up all night, right? To learn Torah. Right? Whoever is able to do it. Some people are not able to do it. Okay, whatever. We do the best we can. But if you're able to stay up at night, it's a good thing all night to learn Torah. But the thing is, they say, the Chazal, okay, staying up at night is very good for Shavuot, Chag Shavuot, that they say, right? That a person who stays up all night, nothing bad will happen to him all year because he learned Torah all night on Shavuot. So it's a very big segula, it's a very big tikkun to learn Torah all night. Not obligation really according to halakha, but it's a minhag, it's a chasidut. It's a good thing to do. If a person wants to protect himself and make the tikkun, we're going to talk about that later, B'ezras Hashem, next week about Shavuot. But the point is like this, they say on the other hand, Yoshev batel ki yashen dameh, right? A person who just stays up on Chag Shavuot and, does nothing, just wastes time. This is not a good thing, better to go to sleep. Why stay up, and do shtuyot? What does that mean? They stay up, right? What do? They light a cigarette, smoke cigarettes. They go outside, talk with their friends, all kinds of nonsense, all kinds of shtuyot. If you're going to do this on Chag Shavuot, might as well go to sleep, get some rest. Better to do that, right? Why stay up and say Dvarim Betelim, and smoke cigarettes and waste time with all, drink coffee, and sit there and outside over there, wasting time. That's not a good thing, right? That's not what we're supposed to be doing in Chag Shavuot. Chag Shavuot, the point is, you stay up to learn Torah, right? But not stay up to shtuyot, to waste time. Better to go to sleep, right? Get a good night's sleep. Why waste your time with that? You don't need that, right? That doesn't help you with anything. There's no tikkun, there's no nothing there. That's what he's trying to tell you over here, right? That staying up at night is only good if you're learning Torah. Otherwise, go to sleep, right? And don't put on cable TV, and internet, and start watching nonsense. All kinds of shituyot at night, movies and this. Oh, you're wasting your time, And also, next day you're going to be tired. You won't be able to work, So you're killing your night. You're also killing your day. You're killing everything. What's the point? Get some sleep, for God's sakes. Much better, right? Go to sleep on time. The rabbi, he has an early minyan, so you got to come here early. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. It's too late. We don't have time to be watching movies at night, right? When you have an early minyan like this, there's no time for that. Okay, you get the point, right? That's one thing. Another one, right? It says that Amhalech b'derech yechidi. This is also another thing which causes danger to people. You know what it is? That they go traveling alone by themselves, with nobody around. This is also dangerous, especially when you do this at night, because then there's mazikim. Also in the daytime, by the way, if you're in a deserted place where there's no people there, and you're going around by yourself, this is dangerous. So therefore, a person shouldn't do that. When you go to travel, right, in a deserted place, there's no people there, you should be with a friend or two friends, together, traveling like that. Don't go by yourself in a deserted place, no people there. Dangerous, Like what? For instance, the forest, Don't go to the forest in the middle of the night, or even in the daytime by yourself, walking around. They say that when they see a person like this, right, in the deserted areas, the Chazal say that there's a mazikin over there, right? There's demons, shadim. That's where they are. That's their home. That's where they hang out. That's their hangout. So if you want to go see them, they're over there, right? So, but the problem is, if they see you by yourself alone, but they have permission to attack you, to harm you. They have permission, So not a good idea, Don't go by yourself, deserted place, no people there. I'm not talking about, you're walking around in Manhattan, right? Because it's full of people there all the time, It's not a deserted place. I'm talking about you going to a place where there's no people there, Sometimes people also go traveling, on the highway somewhere at night. There's no people there, It's all, totally deserted. So not so good, to go to a place like this. There are highways which are very busy. I'm not talking about that. But there are also deserted areas, You don't want to be going there at night by yourself. So they say the Chazal like this, if they see you, these mazikim, they have power to harm you if you're alone. If you have two people, right, they don't have power to harm you. Only to scare you. They're allowed to scare you, to frighten you. They can do that. They have permission, But they don't have permission to harm you if there's two people. If there's three people, they don't even have permission to scare you. That's what it says, So there's always safety, the Americans say, right? There's safety in numbers, Always good to go with a group of people. Don't go traveling by yourself alone. Not a good idea. Especially even worse at night. That's the worst situation, right? But even in the daytime, the truth is, it's not so good. So you got to be careful with that, right? You got to watch out for these things. So that's the thing, It's also can cause a person danger, because these mazikim, lo alenu, if they attack you, they can kill you. They have power to kill. So it's not just a game, some kind of a game. It's not like you're watching a movie, scary movie. This is real life, it's not a movie. You have to be careful. You gotta guard yourself, not to do that kind of thing. Okay, that's the idea, right? What they say, by the way, the Chazal. If you notice, by the way, in all the Tanakh, in the Chumash, always when Adam Gadol, somebody Gadol, goes to the derech, to go on the road, he always took two people, one on the right side, one on the left side. They went three people together. Like for instance, Abraham Avinu, right? When he went on the derech to go to Har HaMoriah, right, to do Akedah, he took with him Ishmael, right? And Yitzchak was there also. And also the other guy was there. What's his name? There was also another guy there. Eliezer, right, exactly. Eliezer, Ishmael, they were all there. So he always used to go with a group. So, this is a smart thing to do. Always you see in the Tanakh like this, that wherever they went with two people. The Anashim Gdolim, the Chashuvim, Chachamim. That's the way they went. And this is the proper way to do. Because otherwise there's sakana, there's danger. This is the thing. So they knew what they were doing, right? Even this Rasha, Yimach Shemo, right? Bilam, also he was going with two people, also. He was taking. Because he was Adam Gadol, he was Chashuv. He was Satan, Rasha. But he was Gadol. So because of that, he also went with people. He never went by himself anywhere like this on the road alone. So this is the way to do it. We learn from our patriarchs, from the Tanakh, from the Bible, that always, when you're going in a deserted area, you got two people with you. This is the safe way to do it, right? And you're going to be good. Okay, so that's another thing. Another thing we have here. This is maybe the most important one, right? Most interesting one. You know what this means? A person, could be, doesn't matter whether it's day or night, or he's with people or he's alone, doesn't matter. You know what this means? He's thinking, he's wasting, he's like, what do they call this? In English they call this dwelling. He's dwelling. You know what it means, dwelling? Like, he's just like spacing out, not doing anything productive, not doing anything, any kind of something which will gain something to him. No, he's just sitting there, spacing out, His mind is like shut down. He shuts down his mind, and he's just like daydreaming. That's a nice word for it, right? He daydreams, Daydreaming, this kind of thing, dwelling, spacing out. This is dangerous. Why is that? What's wrong with this? What's the problem? You know what it is? When a person shuts down his mind, and he's just dreaming, daydreaming, this brings him into the realm of the imagination. This is like what the psychiatrists, they talk about this. Imagination is a dangerous thing. You're just imagining things. You're not thinking actively, logically, into something, which is rational. No, you're just daydreaming. So you're going from like fantasizing also. This is also the same thing. Having fantasies, in your head, like daydreaming, thinking about this, thinking about that. You're just like the fantasies get the best of you. So this is not a good state of mind. The Chazal say this is dangerous. Don't put yourself in a state of mind like this, because when you shut down your brain and you start to daydream, what happens is, right, that this brings in the Yetzer Hara. This brings the Satan into your head. So you get bad thoughts, all kinds of bad things in your head when this happens. So always the mind has to be. What do you learn from there? Always the mind has to be occupied, with something, thinking about something, which is active thinking, not just daydreaming, passive, sitting there, and let the dreams go by, one dream after another. This is a dangerous situation. You don't want this kind of a thing, So a person has to try to avoid that. Who usually has this problem? Not the older guys like us, We're talking about the younger kids, the kids, they tend to daydream, fantasizing, daydreaming all the time. So this is not good, because what happens is the Yetzer Hara brings in, what they say, right? I'll tell you something interesting, and we'll stop here. That they say that when Adam Arishon was created, Kadosh Baruch Hu created Adam Arishon, what happened was that he brought the Satan, created the Satan, but there at that point, the Satan was on the outside, the Nachash was the personification of the Satan, the snake. He was a Satan. But the thing is, that he was on the outside at that time. But what happened was that when he convinced Adam Arishon to sin, and he sinned Adam Arishon, so then power was given to Satan to come into a person's mind also. He's not just on the outside, talking to you from the outside. He's in your head, the Satan. So what does that mean? He has power to put thoughts in your head, and like dreams, all kinds of imagination, all kinds of fantasies. He has power to do it going right into your head. He doesn't need to speak to you from the outside, like your friend. He's inside you, the Satan already, So he can plant the thoughts inside you. He has the power to do that. Once Adam Arishon sinned, this is what happened, So this is why it's dangerous, So when a person shuts down his head and starts to daydream, you know what happens? The Satan comes in, and puts all kinds of pictures in his head. This is all Yetzer Hara, everything Yetzer Hara, All the bad sins, right? All the sins. All the bad things come into his head. So this is also very, very dangerous, that a person has to watch out for that. So if we avoid these three things, we avoid all kinds of spiritual and physical danger to ourselves. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen, amen. Rabbi Chanan אתה שומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לעזור לישראל, ולפיכך הרבה להם תורה ומצוות שנאמר לא נחפש, למען צדקו יגדיל תורה וידיר.